Hi, this is Deborah Cleveland, and I'm going to talk a little bit about design thinking and how I visualize incorporating some of those principles into the learning experiences I use with adult learners. My primary focus is working with adults around professional learning in the area of education. And when I talk about this, I'm really focusing on the ISTE educator standards that states educators continually improve their practice by learning from and with others and exploring proven and promising practices that leverage technology to improve student learning. They set professional goals to explore and apply pedagogical approaches made accessible by technology and reflect on their effectiveness. They pursue professional interests by creating and actively participating in local and global learning networks, and they stay current with research that supports improved student learning outcomes, including findings from the learning sciences. So when I talk about the design process, I'm also kind of tying it to the specific ISTE standards and its criteria below it. When we think of design thinking, we start by thinking about identifying an opportunity. So one of the things that I've done in a learning opportunity is I've created several modules that educators can access to sort of guide themselves through this process. So in level one, you can see personalized professional learning. Level one is selection. And I give them a little bit of background about what SMART goals are. And then in every module, they have an experience. And in this first experience, they're selecting what they're going to be learning about. So I really think this is tied to identifying an opportunity where students or learners find a place where they want to grow. Something that they've either collected data in a concrete way, or they have some anecdotal data where they've identified something that they want to improve. The next one that they look at is research. And in this module, which is the second one, they have a two-part experience, and they're really asked to start to identify the pathway that they're going to take to learn about ways to maybe address the goal that they set in the selection module. And there's a lot of freedom in this part because they get to choose the type of content that they want to engage in. They can choose the format that they want to engage in, whether that be a face-to-face session, reading articles, taking advantage of some different people on Twitter. They can do modules in a self-paced way. They may choose to select a facilitated course online. They may choose to go visit a school and see what's being done in their place. So we start to design that learning process around whatever their goal is. And we ask them to kind of take that information and submit it there. So in this process, every time they submit something, there is a coach, an instructional coach, or instructor who's looking at it and reviewing it to see, are there any questions that I could ask them that might further their thinking. In this third module, we're looking at implementation, which to me gets to like the feedback, gets to the implementation and the prototype part of the design thinking process. So what steps do you need to take to integrate this into your practice? What resources and technology do you need? Describe the context of your implementation. Describe the learning goals that you've addressed and how you're going to assess learning, and how you will use technologies with your students in regards to this. So again, you're designing your prototype. You're taking the things that you chose in the previous section to build on and sort of create this picture of what it's going to look like and feel like, and then you're going to actually go out and implement and test your prototype. In the next module, we get into reflecting, where you're talking about how do you feel the implementation went, what went well, what didn't go well, compare what you planned to what you envisioned, summarize the evidence of data of student learning. How does your data inform your learning about your goal that you set in the first module? What moments of personal enlightenment did you have? And of course, in Iowa, we want to bring it back to what Iowa teaching standards did you address. And in this case, this is sort of a personal reflection and feedback, but I think that there's definitely opportunities to work with instructional coaches or peers to also get some feedback about that implementation as well. I would say one thing that I haven't addressed in these modules is the design thinking piece around scale and spread, but I think looking into this module in the future, it would make sense to add maybe a question about next steps. Are you going to keep it doing it the same, or are there any refinements that you would want? And is there a way to increase that usage? The last one in the series is on sharing what you've done. And so we ask that people create a presentation about their experience, and you could either do a presentation, a blog post, a variety of things, and then we ask them to share that in the module so that their instructor or coach can see that as well. So, and also so that others. One of the neat things about this module is that we ask that they also put it on our Wakelet board so that it can be shared outside of the context of their learning, but also with other people who might be doing this across the state of Iowa. So, to give an idea of what kind of personalized professional learning is occurring. So again, we're talking about adult learners around the idea of education and ensuring that students are learning, and how do we tie those design thinking principles to it. So I think this module kind of shows how I've sort of crafted a way to guide people